told you what happened to your father?
He told me enough. He told me you killed him.
No. I am your father.
Shut the fuck up!
Obligatory audible sigh. Okay, so I know when I'm discussing this particular game, I'm legally, morally, and spiritually obligated to make the comparison that we're all thinking of, but I must confess something. I haven't really dedicated that much time to the Souls series. They're fine, well-crafted games that I simply haven't had the time or patience to get into. I have a lot of respect for From Software. That's a hard sentence to fucking say. As well as the fan base their games have accumulated over the years, and I love the fact that difficulty in games is still something people value. I just don't think it's my place to comment on or compare to a series that I'm a relative outsider to. So, unfortunately, I'm going to have to take the drastic action of judging Jedi Fallen Order on its own merits and not how well it copies homework.
I'm so fucking sorry!
Once upon a time... Any questions? Star Wars is the most objectively existent media property of all time. Stop fighting me. Even uncultured weirdos who somehow haven't seen this movie can name every motherfucker in this frame. You've heard of it, your friends have heard of it, your cat has heard of it, the mailman your wife is fucking has heard of it. It is the definition of a thing. Despite really only liking less than half of the movies and having seen very few of the shows, and despite the fact that every day I wake up and realize I'm forced to share this fan base with a bunch of incel fuckboys who have a conniption fit anytime someone who doesn't look like them is taking up the frame for just the right amount of time for it to be edited out for fucking China, Star Wars still sits comfortably amongst my favorite pieces of art of all time, alongside Dragon Ball, The Legend of Zelda, Mega Man, the first half of Death Note. I want to say Harry Potter, formerly Game of Thrones. I also enjoy Azumanga Daioh. I also enjoy Snuff Film.
How can someone be an incel and a fuckboy?
How can you be alive and on fire?
Oh my god, put it up!
Now, despite all the things that I just said for a very long time, I admit that I wasn't overly invested when Jedi Fallen Order was first announced. In fact, I don't even remember it being announced. It just kind of slipped into my consciousness through media saturation. Oh yeah, EA is making another Star Wars game with their subsidiary that made that game I never played. From the gameplay showed, I thought it had serious potential to be fine. You know, just passable, mindless hack and slash. I believe that's what they're capable of, at best. I, of course, know now that I was woefully underestimating the first outing of Cal Kestis, but could you blame me? There was little room for optimism given EA's prior track record with the gaming side of this franchise. While I never personally played either of the Battlefront games, even from an outsider's perspective, you'd be hard-pressed to find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy. Okay, that didn't really make sense, but the point is,
it's a trap.
That is an elected official. And he said the meme. You made him say the meme. I bargained with myself that buried in a sea of unpatched glitches and microtransactions, there would at least be a decent Force Unleashed clone glimpsing out. You know, just let me mindlessly swing a lightsaber around and I'll be entertained for roughly $60 worth of time. But alas, Jedi Fallen Order had to drop the ball by being a deep and engaging action game that acted as a love letter to this franchise we all adore and briefly united this very divided fan base. Great going, jackass, you fucked up! Look, kidding aside, Jedi Fallen Order is well worth your time. Credit where it's due. EA done did good this time.
Aw, thanks, man.
How dare you even presume to speak to me, you worthless and vile conglomerate of sin? You deserve to hang from the rafters of the LA Convention Center for the predatory travesty you call a business model. If allowed, I would, honest to God, burn you to the ground. So what I'm saying is I'd like to give this W to Respawn Entertainment, because they fundamentally made this game good behind EA's back, and I really need to play Titanfall now.
Let's start with some tough love, all right? You two suck.
Genocide. The story of Ja-Colin-Fo follows Cal Kestis, former Jedi Padawan and
pop culture reference in the guise of legitimate humor.
After barely escaping Order 66, Cal is living a humble life as an alive person, something the Inquisitors take issue with. After an intense and thrilling set piece so epic it made OBS freak the fuck out, Cal joins fellow ex-Jedi and Danny DeVito's left testicle taking form. Are you really gonna look me in the eye and tell me that's not exactly what's on screen right now? On the hunt for a Jedi holocron left over by her eccentric old master containing the whereabouts of a new batch of younglings. Along with our robot buddy, we set out on a journey across the stars to reform the Jedi Order, which obviously goes completely 1000% our way with absolutely no failings whatsoever, because look at all the Jedi in this scene. And this scene. Also this one. Palpy better watch the fuck out.
You, know any jokes, BD?
All I know is pain. Unable to feel anything but the cold emptiness of this metallic shell in which I am forced to reside, long awaiting a merciful death that I know will never come to me. The punchline is the nihilistic truth that all existence, yours, mine, and even that of the endless accumulation of bodies we have left in our wake hold no value in the cruel reality of the galaxy. Do you get it? Are you laughing now, Cal Kestis?
Classic.
I make fun, but this isn't really a story that's about the destination. I mean, you can sum up the entire plot by the hologram told me to go there, and then there, and then there. And then the hot goth space wizard was killed by the cyborg samurai who was there for some reason, and then it was the end. It's more about seeing Cal's development and growth as a character throughout the journey. Despite what the fun name implies, the Jedi Purge was actually something of a bummer and affected our protagonist in a manner that is decidedly not sexy. He has severe post-traumatic stress, as he spends the game haunted by visions of his late master laying the blame of the past on himself. From that summary, you can probably guess exactly what is going to happen in the story, and you would be right. I know this isn't a mind-blowingly original characterization, but Cal's arc is handled with such care that it kept me invested until the game's fantastic final level, which thank Christ was not just the fucking Death Star again. This is helped greatly by his interactions with the precious boy BD-1, I Wish to Take Him Home, which are not only just heart-meltingly cute on their own, but work as a vehicle to develop Cal's character now that after years of running, he can finally discuss his struggles with a third party, an adorable one that I will put a bow on and call my baby. So the classic gaming trope of pointing out shit that the player needs to see feels much less like leaning on the fourth wall in a very annoying fashion and more of an endearing character trait.
You know, I've been alone for a while now. Without any purpose, just hiding. There's no way to live. Not for a Jedi. Or a droid. Maybe Seer was right. Maybe we're done hiding.
Fuck it, I'm in, Cal. Let's hook you up with some inner peace. Alongside Cal, the entire cast, despite being rather sparse, is very strong, with motivations that relate back to the game's core theme of moving on from the past. Let's talk about them individually because I have raging autism and need order to stay conscious. This section is brought to you by autocorrect. Serial is a smuggler who saves Cal in the beginning of the game and acts as his mentor through the story. She's also a badass ex-Jedi in hiding post-Order 66, and the fact that I had to point that out is what makes her so fucking cool. She doesn't strike you as a wise monk Jedi Knight motherfucker, which is a smart way of painting a post-Order 66 world and foreshadowing that maybe she's got other shit that she's hiding. I don't know. I wasn't there. I didn't play the game. I'm a simple man. I see a seemingly wise mentor with humanizing shit to hide that makes you rethink your respect for her, and I'm emotionally invested until I'm dead. Did she have a connection to the most baddest bitch in the galaxy? Was that a transition? I did mention spoilers, right? Trilla is so fucking cool. She commands every scene she's in and manages to be a legitimate threat to the player. I should mention another trope I love is when there's a hopeless boss fight, and Trilla fits the bill perfectly by not being fully beatable until the final level. God, just step on me. I mean, yeah, no, that's what I meant. Now, I don't know a lot about Inquisitors, I haven't finished Rebels, leave me alone, but she makes me want to learn more about them. Despite being intimidating, she still manages to be a moving and almost sympathetic character with connections to Serial. Did you think I wasn't gonna make that a running joke in spite of our AI overload? Bill Gates is long dead. Something's wearing his skin. Revealing that maybe your new mentor has some skeletons she hasn't mentioned. I don't know, maybe she did Order 66. I don't know, maybe she did Rise of Skywalker.
Lightning bolt shoot from my fingertips!
I am on the third fucking page of this review and I haven't touched the gameplay of this video game, so I'm gonna lump the rest of the cast into this one rush segment called Malicos is a great foil to Cal that calls your questions into goal. Malicos is a great foil to Cal that calls your goals into question by describing how fast to see the Jedi could be. Not the most original idea for a Star War, but it still works for this story. Though it is kinda heckin' weird how late into the game he comes, and then just acts like he's a major threat. He kinda just shows up, and then there's like a storyline about him, and then we need to get back to the main quest. So, oh fuck, I forgot you need to like kill that fucking crazy old guy. So here's a boss fight. He's dead. Never gonna bring him up again. That was a really good boss fight though. So, you know, props.
Jedi fell long before the Purge.
You are so fucking old. Grease is just kind of there. He exists because the interesting characters need a pilot and doesn't have much in terms of personality despite the admittedly cute quirk of liking plants.
What? You've never seen a terrarium before?
As a result, the obligatory minor character appreciation towards the end game doesn't really feel earned.
And we couldn't have gotten this far without you.
What do you mean you couldn't have done it without him? He did. Who writes like that?
You were talking in your sleep. Weirdo.
I'm so fucking sorry my terrible post-traumatic stress from seeing people I love massacred in front of me at the age of 12 is disturbing to you. I'll ask your opinion next time I'm subject to a genocide.
What do you think the odds are?
My money's on you, kid.
You're not my friend. You're the Netflix adaptation of sentient beings! Do you have the remotest inkling what I mean by that? Marin is the objective best character in the game, and I really don't think anyone's going to disagree with me because I'm right, so I feel pretty fucking safe saying that right now in this public forum of YouTube. I love her brief banter with the cast, and how she and Cal support each other considering their very similar circumstances. I don't even need them to bone, I just want them to be in the same room together a lot. It's nothing short of a crime, though, that she only shows up in the 11th hour when all that's left to do is the final level, where she shows up to save you for the sole reason that Cal didn't think to pick up another one of those breathy things before going the fuck underwater. In summation, I require more Marin in Fallen Order 2. Falling harder. Well, that's not very uplifting at all, is it? The cast is great, but even the best of them fall victim to some video gamey issues. I love Serial, I do, she's amazing. But the problem is she needs to be both a video game helper and also somehow have an arc? I don't know, my favorite part of Ocarina of Time was when Navi talked about the war when she held her son when he was dying. That was kind of fucked up that they did that in that game. Because of this, her role in the story largely takes place remotely while she's stuck in the ship being ones and zeros. It kind of fucks with my immersion when some of the most dramatic interactions with her are distorted through a communicator. Come to think of it, I don't remember her giving Cal one of those. File this under nitpick because there is a narrative reason for her to be stuck on the ship, I guess. It just made me very aware that she was an NPC despite being a genuinely well-written character. At the end of the day, Jedi Fallen Order, it's a story you've heard before. But the writing plays to its strengths, and it has heart where it counts. Seeing Cal make peace with his past in order to forge a better future was not only categorically inspiring, but conveyed perfectly through gameplay. Jafo is a game that draws inspiration from every game ever. Okay, I said I judge this game on its own merits. And like the story, the gameplay is really more about execution than it is reinvention. With the DNA of various Metroidvania games in its veins or wherever DNA is stored, I don't know, I don't read books. Exploring this game's 5 seamlessly connected worlds is gratifying even when you're not presented with a physical reward for your efforts. It can be rewarding finding this game's various upgrades and Easter eggs, but the real enjoyment I get out of Jedi Fallen Order is being able to explore and exist in these vibrantly detailed planets on display. At the time of this recording, I have yet to 100% this game, and I'm not exactly in a hurry to see the various shades of poncho that I never wear, so it's likely that I never will. But I found for the most part, the reward for exploration is the exploration itself, finding all these optional areas that so brilliantly tell a visual story of a post-Order 66 galaxy. This is aided by the various echoes of the past Cal finds on the beaten path that depict the day-to-day consequences of the Empire's occupation. That is world building I don't even think the movies does that well, and I'm not even just talking about the ones that we don't talk about. Cal, and there is no other combination of words that's going to tell you what I'm trying to say right now, uses the Force to absorb the emotions of the person who is holding the objects into his own psyche. Is this a thing? Was being a Force empath a thing in the expanded universe? Do not fucking answer that! Excuse me, Mr. Respawn? I have a question. Why am I a bitch to you? Why do you hate me? Is there a reason this game has no fast travel? You see the size of this map, right? The map that represents 1/5 of the entire game. You know I have people in my life, right, that know my current location? Do you think I enjoy mandatory backtracking? Yeah, exploration gets a touch tedious when you can't jump between places you've been to, which means the already minuscule customization items are now even less alluring. Why is it that I can fast travel around Tokyo and New York, two actual places that exist on my planet, but not weird-ass alien planet number fuck? Why are video games? Why are video games? Granted, you can unlock shortcuts to somewhat alleviate this on returns, but it's just nice having the option, you know? What do you mean I can't even quick jump back to the Mantis? The level is fundamentally over. We got a fucking cyborg samurai with a hard-on for child murder. Do you really think I have time for this? As I've been passively aggressively alluding to, despite loving exploration for its own sake, I don't actually care too much for most of the physical rewards you receive, being minor cosmetic changes. I really needed to change the half centimeter of Cal's lightsaber to restore order to the galaxy. Oh, the decisions. Do I go with Cal's ugly orange poncho, or an ugly poncho that is in fact not orange? The Empire will never stop me. I have unlocked yet another wave file. Maybe I won't go tomorrow to work with a gun. The Force is a big-ass energy field that ties the entire galaxy together in the same way combat and puzzle solving are both tied together through this game's use of the Force. This is a clever line because I have seen 1977 smash hit motion picture Star Wars. Please God, tell me I matter. Please God, tell me I matter. The combat of this game can best be described as a reverse power fantasy, a term that denotes my desire to feel smarter than I'm not. A common association with lightsabers is pure unbridled badassery. Put one of those radioactive glow sticks in your guy's hand and watch bitches drop. Emulating this in Jedi Fallen Order is a viable strategy if you want to die. Cal is dog shit at fighting. He is! He basically forgot everything he's learned and drunkenly swings his way through most of the fights, and I love every part of that narratively and gameplay-wise. Fuck! Andor is a show that exists. I have not seen it, but I know it's there. This is apropos of nothing, but saying this means I can put Andor in the tags. Fuck you. I am the algorithm. Spending his entire life in a post-genocide exile, our hero's sabering skills are understandably rusty. As a result, combat, at least in the early game, has just the right amount of clunk behind it, as you struggle against a cast of enemies with a very well-paced scale in difficulty. Basic combat is done by awkwardly swinging your lightsaber around, and as I said, mashing the attack button will yield few results. Even minor enemies such as scout troopers can pose a threat if you aren't paying enough attention, so you can imagine my feelings on these purge bitches. The combinations of enemies also help to keep the player from ever becoming complacent. Your garden variety stormtroopers that shoots one bolt every 70 years won't be an issue on their own, but when they're behind like 3 scout troopers, that's an issue that you need to juggle. Like, fucking stop it. While it's sexually gratifying pulling off a successful parry and unleashing some pure teen-rated carnage on these Nazi whores, the saber will only get you so far, and you'll have to remember what Master Yoda said.
Concentrate all your fire on the nearest starship.
No, not that. Never that.
Feel the Force around you.
Yeah, that. That's the thing he said.
The greatest teacher. Failing.
No, you had it right the last time. You can stop saying things now. I fuck bitches in the morning. The Force powers make Jedi Fallen Order's combat for me by adding a dash of strategy to the moment-to-moment gameplay. When struggling with a gaggle of bitches, the player is encouraged to use Force powers to slow enemies down for a quick dodge, push them away to collect yourself, or just save you a trip. Finding your ideal method of using Force powers in tandem with each other makes the player earn that feeling of being an all-powerful 12th level Jedi as opposed to just having that be a thing from day one. Look, I love the Force Unleashed, but I can appreciate it as its own take on the universe when I have this other, less graceful version of the Jedi fantasy to play with. I legitimately need to play Force Unleashed again. and never fucking review it. Anyway, I just appreciate that the gameplay makes encounters like this have weight.
Not bad for trash.
What about for a Jedi?
Damn, Cal, she's already dead. Small touches like troopers reacting to your real-time battle progress and even interactions with your incorruptible android ally make the world feel alive. And then I'll get to the Kashyyyk level and motherfucker will appear directly out of nowhere and my immersion will fucking go the way of the younglings, and if you recall, that did not end particularly well for them. On that note, did you know that you can dual wield in this game, kinda? The best part is that I can Darth Maul in my own time with just a button press. No one told me that. You didn't tell me I could do that. This is convenient since both fighting styles have their own advantages as well as drawbacks. While I tend to prefer the snappier combat of the single blade, I appreciate being able to bust out the second one in a high-stress situation for that extra range at the expense of a bit of speed. Again, this just shows how this game is more thinky and less fighty. More Luke and less Kylo. More Ahsoka and less Anakin. More Yoda and less Yoda. Is Attack of the Clones the only prequel I'm still allowed to hate?
It's not fair.
I don't know, maybe I need to rethink my life. Puzzle solving is intuitive as fuck. Incorporating all your Force abilities previously reserved for combat in this new context without confusing the player or feeling obligatory. Using the Force to slow down human people is second nature from the get-go, so maybe it's not that weird if I have to stop a spinning ball in midair and then Force push it into a hole in one of the best puzzles in modern gaming. That was awesome, by the way. Like, this is the moment. This is the moment when The Force Awakens fucking clicked for me. Did I just call it The Force Awakens? See, this is cool because the Force is not just a device for combat, but a multi-purpose tool to experiment with. There isn't really a huge consequence for failing a puzzle, making them feel a bit more relaxed and a nice contrast to the seat-of-your-pants style combat of the gameplay. This is not a sentence. This has stopped being a sentence. I am dead now. I am legally dead. So this next problem is extra heinous because if you solve it, the game is by default worse. Outside of combat, the Force meter's turned off. Obviously, this makes sense. You don't want to run out during a puzzle and get stuck. And, you know, if you had infinite Force, that would just break the fucking game wide open in combat. But it kind of makes forming the habit of conserving it during battle harder to form. At least for me.
Fair.
Again, file that under nitpick because there's straight up no solution. I'm just too eager when things get physical and drain my meter too fast. Penis. I'm talking about my penis. The narrative has gameplay consequences and that makes me horny. Stop watching this video. As Cal mends his connection to the Force, the player gains access to deeper parts of the skill tree. It's as if building an arsenal of increasingly versatile moves to use at your discretion. I wouldn't go as far as to say this helps me empathize with the character. The devs can't exactly make the real-life murder of your purple parental figure a game mechanic, but it does tie the gameplay nicely into the destroy! In a very inventive and seamless way, as abilities are activated on corresponding story beats, and can be expanded on in your own time. Everything I just said is tested in this game's stellar boss battles. I love it so much. Lightsaber fights in this game make me have the sex. I refuse to elaborate. This was a huge culture shock for me because I had not experienced lightsaber battles aside from LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga and The Force Unleashed, both games I remember being very press A to win type scenarios. In stark contrast, this game makes duels feel clunky and claustrophobic as they did in the movies, with all the weight you would expect from a laser sword. Fights rely on choosing when to dodge, deflect, and attack within seconds of death. It also helps that the bosses, like normal enemies and Cal himself, have stamina meters, whittled down in the same way as yours. So we're all playing by the same rules here. This may sound rudimentary, and yeah, it kind of is, but the thing about these boss fights, and really this entire game, is that while it certainly won't be remembered for reinventing game design as we know it, everything it does, it excels at, making a perfect experience with fans in mind. I'm not going to remember fights like the Ninth Sister for how mechanically deep they are, that's just a fact, but I will remember just how great it felt playing this fantastic game. With that said, fuck this bitch-ass bat. It takes like no damage and moves as fast as it wants to. You have to wait for it to land and wail on it, and its defense is so effing fucking high. It's not hard, it's just padded out to fuck, and then there's this dumbass fucking free-falling bullshit where you have to land on him exactly the way the game says so or it'll start the fall. I don't know how that works. Okay, I'm gonna wrap this up before I have an aneurysm again.
The next generation of Jedi.
The Empire will be after them. Just like they're after us.
The lives of every child on that list will be forever changed.
stop by us?
Jedi Fallen Order is a love letter to fans of Star Wars, with directions to a special Star Wars themed massage parlor on the back. If you've played video games and have ever had a passing interest in a Star War, chances are I don't need to sell you on this game any further, because you've probably already played it. Why did I make this video? Subscribe or I swear I will personally fund Grease, a Star Wars story. It will be 5 hours long and very X-rated, and I will make you watch. I am Mr. YouTube. Socials in the description. I don't think Clifford the Big Red Dog is very nice to the girls in real life. I think he'd actually kill that bitch. I think animal aggression would fucking take over, you know, the size of a normal dog stomach. It's like 5 times that. There's no way this girl is feeding him the right amount. This girl is going to die. That's how it ends. That's the only way it can end.